Tabassum Khan was a 43-year-old divorced mother of two who had immigrated from Pakistan to raise her kids on her own in suburban Houston.
Tabassum Khan was a mother, first and foremost. Her whole world revolved around her children.
Tabassum had devoted her life to them.
She worked in order to provide for them. All of her energy went to raising her children and providing them a safe home and a comfortable home.
And the apple of her eye was 17-year-old son Danish, Tabassum's youngest child and the only one still living at home.
She gave him everything.
Every teenage luxury her modest income could buy.
She gave him a car. She gave him a credit card. She took care of every one of his needs.
But Tabassum was a dedicated, hands-on mom who also made Danish earn his privileges.
She wanted to make sure that his schoolwork was done, that he was at school.
And Danish was living up to his mother's high expectations at Robert E. Lee High School, where he was a straight-A senior who was immensely popular with his teachers and fellow students.
Danish was the class president. Danish was the high school principal student helper. Danish was perceived as the student leader in the school.
With a bright future ahead of him.
Danish Minhas was the type of kid that was going to be a winner. He was going to be very successful in life.
Danish dressed immaculately. Fingernails, filed, just everything perfect.
Most likely to be president. Most likely to become Houston police chief. Most likely to be attorney general. Most likely to be a millionaire.
But Danish's world was about to suddenly and tragically come crashing down. When he returns home to find his mother, the woman who lived for him, lying dead on the living room floor. Her head and upper body covered with a blanket. And what lies beneath the blanket is like a scene from a horror movie. One that will be seared into the teenager's memory for the rest of his life.
I came home, she's got blood over her.
A distraught Danish calls 911.
She's on the floor between the sofas and she's got blood on her.
Okay, is she breathing normally?
No, she's not doing anything, ma'am. She's gone.
Danish can barely speak through his tears.
We have help coming for you, okay?
Thank you.
Stay on the line with me, though.
Even veteran homicide detective Brian Harris is shocked when he arrives at the crime scene.
It was such a brutal crime.
Tabassum Khan was stabbed repeatedly, over and over and over again, dozens and dozens of times. She had injuries all over her body. The majority were around the neck, the face area. She had some defensive wounds, clearly trying to prevent her death.
She had stab wounds on her forearm. She had stab wounds on her legs, gouges on her legs.
But her killer had left behind a telltale clue.
It looked as though we had bloody fingerprints around her ankles, as if she was kicking and somebody was holding her legs down while they continued to stab.
Investigators initially think Tabassum may have been murdered during a burglary.
And it was clear based on the evidence, the envelopes being moved, the killer was looking for something, which was backed up by the blood spatter and transfer blood on several white envelopes.
But cops couldn't find any sign of forced entry at the apartment.
The door frame was not damaged at all. There was no fresh wood, as if somebody pried the door open.
That, along with the particularly savage way Tabassum was murdered, and the fact that her head was covered by her killer, makes investigators look in another direction.
That's an indication that perhaps there's a relationship, that the person knew who their victim was. It is also an indication that the person may be shameful.
Now cops try to figure out who that may be.
Breaking down the life that she had led, who she was dating, who she knew, what she did for work, what was her relationship with her family.
Next, cops follow the trail of bloody clues on the front door.
That wasn't Tabison's blood that we were looking at.
And even they can't believe where it leads them.
The hair on the back of my neck stood up.